It's good over a year ago.
Yeah. It's called order. It's just the same really official.
No, it's a work session.
Work session.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we talking about?
AP sanitation's not here yet.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the shipping container ordinance.
It's called the shipping container ordinance.
Okay.
What do I know about that?
Use the shipping container ordinance that, Jason gave us. Did you guys have a chance to review that? Do you want changes? Do you want to take it to a public hearing?
Is it in here somewhere?
I thought it was.
I think it was, let's see.
I was gonna say so. I saw it. And it's not a big deal to move it on.
Hi, Perry.
Yeah.
I do.
What's happening, man?
Down at,
Sorry, let's take it off the list because it's not like that.
down at school,
Yeah.
Norwalk,
Alright.
tear out the whole front.
Okay.
Are we gonna move it?
To the next meeting.
Alright, so shipping container go to the next meeting?
Yes. So then we'll move to Logan.
Yeah, we just that.
Do we do, Public Works?
Yes.
Alright.
All in Public Works report?
So I gave you guys a pretty comprehensive report here and everything. There's only a couple things on here that I need you to go ahead on, that we'll do at the next.
Speak up.
So.
I can hear you fine.
I figured so. The first one is the water issues in the estates. We've got on here that we're gonna be excavating at some point, repair that tile that's in the right of way. We had a similar repair down over here, cost us around $3,800 overall, depending on whether we locate this or not. So that's gonna be over the $1,000 spending limit, so at the next meeting, I'll just need the council's go ahead to, probably place a $4,500, limit on that repair out of my budget. Snow routes, you can see the template on there.
3,500 down by the highway, the one on 69.
No, that one's actually free. So that one I'm just doing with the DOT. It's kind of a joint project. I may end up eating a little bit of the cost for the pipes, but I mean, we're talking like a couple $100. They're gonna bring their equipment out. We already did the north side, and that took care of, I mean, you can see the difference between the north side and the south side of the road down there on the corner. You can tell how much it's actually taken up. So when we get the south one done, we might have $200 into it. They're gonna do all the excavating, and we're gonna bring the equipment out, so pretty good deal all in all for us.
So where's the current water issues on 134th, 100 block?
So we have on the west end of 134th Avenue, at the corner down there,
Okay.
a resident has one.
Yeah, I do. I wanted to confirm.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I thought, where I thought it was.
Yeah, I like giving you
You just have
addresses and not
134.
names, but I didn't have the
I
address
didn't
off
get
the
it
top of my head. And then pretty much every house on the north side behind there, Huxcom has utility boxes, and those are completely full of water. Most of the water on the south side.
I think it's resident, or Andreas, you got one up on.
I think this will
Oh, so y'all.
Yeah, we got that on the south side too. We got standing water in our backyard, a lake.
Yeah, so it's on the south side, 134th and 69. You can tell just by visual that it's coming out of that utility box. Huckcom's gonna do some excavation, and as I put on my report, I'm just gonna kind of wait and see. Hopefully they eat up most of the cost on this, and we kind of know exactly what we're looking at.
Well, when that, Pocket Park
outlet that comes through there. There's a pipe that was dropped off there and they pulled that out and that thing drained like a sieve, didn't it?
Still great.
As Lauren and I have.
So, but I thought that relieved a lot of that pressure there. Do you think that tree roots have got in there and slowed all that water from getting out of there? Because after they did that for a couple of 2 or 3 years, I don't think anybody had, and you were there, your house runs in that area there too. Didn't it clean that out pretty good?
Yeah, it's closed again. It's
So-
between me and Bobby, it's broken.
Yeah, so maybe it's a root deal. Do we need to get a,
It is a roof.
And that'll be, that'll be a part of it. Once
Yeah.
we get that excavator opened up, we'll televise and
Yeah,
report
there
the
you
costs
go.
on that.
Are you talking about up by our house though?
yeah.
Because there's clean outs in our backyard. We put clean outs in.
You guys did that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But you can, now you can drop the camera down there and identify.
We put a distribution box down by
Which
Gene
way?
Eddy's, everything. There's a whole,
Where's that? On 34?
yeah, right on 134th. So on the south side of the road,
Uh-huh.
Bobby's in the green ranch. I'm in the one right next to him.
Oh, okay.
So we got clean outs in the pipe. Plus we paid last year, we put a distribution box
Okay.
in down to the south of us. And you can access all the way down to where Lauren.
So I had the county out. They did locating and mapping for us for free. Kind of an inclusion in another project that we were doing. And they got through all the pipes down there without issue last year, I believe it was. So
From where, like what area?
the entirety of,
Well, they start out down by Pocket Park, didn't they?
yeah, they did the.
I like to see them
park,
come up
they
behind
did-
these guys' houses, hit them accesses where they are.
They ran like almost 2,000 feet of
Was that
line.
The last one was that last year. I rented a snake and snaked it myself and I was pulling out huge root balls out of it.
I think a lot of that's collapse. It's old clay.
It's old
and then-
4-inch clay tile.
And then also, when HuxleyCon went through there, all those tiles behind everybody's yards,
Yeah,
when HuxleyCon went through there, it clipped whatever, however many of those tiles.
You think they hit them?
Well, and
I
that's,
know, they came out and redug ours.
Yeah, they fixed ours.
And I got clay, but it just caved back in.
So we need to kind of investigate
That's what
that.
it
that's what we're already doing. That's why I'm waiting for HuxCom to do their stuff, kind of
Yeah.
figure out what's going on. Because I'd prefer that if they messed it up, they eat the cost on that and they make right.
Yep.
And
There you go.
anything beyond that, we will go in and check out.
Well, just take them down in our backyard and you can show them. I mean, it'll be pretty evident there because it's standing
there
right
right
there.
there.
In the meeting, write down your address for me so I don't,
Okay.
so I can have it, I don't forget.
All right.
So yeah, that, we'll be doing that come spring, and it just goes over the public works budget, so, or not, budget,
Does
spending
it
limit.
stay all year long?
It's wet all year long.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sooner the better to get that water draining out of there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot in a lot of different places, and I think, I don't wanna speculate, I have ideas, but I don't wanna.
Have you
don't
guys
wanna
ever seen
speculate.
the maps, before that ground was building the houses?
Just from what old
Bob Gramey's house and, who's his neighbor, that's the center of a huge, all the ground up here, that's a huge drain ditch that goes through there. It's, house you should have never been built there, if you've seen the pictures. I'm amazed that Polk County let them build houses in a waterway that's been there for tens of thousands of years. You don't change Mother Nature too
Some of
much.
the issues
And
we
get
might
away
run
with it.
into, some of the
You
issues
don't.
I run into is basically abandoned farm tile that
Yeah,
at
that's what it is.
at one point daylighted, and now we have no outlet for it.
Yeah.
No way to.
A house was built,
locate tile.
the contractor seen it, he just went through, did his deal, didn't block it off, didn't reroute it and connect it back, and now we're dealing with it.
I've had multiple of those, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Alright,
The neighbor behind us, he put rubber membrane 4 foot up his house before he sided it, they did. Bill, didn't he? You remember that? Because he gets water so bad it runs right through his garage.
I thought they dug up another trench, put another tile in
We
there.
did. But it's still, it just ain't enough. Cause you, like Barry said, we're dumping that whole field.
Yeah,
That
that
field
whole field
runs through that
drains.
one tile, and when we worked on it 2 summers ago, he found 2 more tiles that go into that distribution box.
Yeah.
There's tiles that come this way, and it shoots down and goes right underneath Bill's driveway to the storm sewer there. Yeah, and it hits that. Once it hits that, then that's, it blows out to that ravine across the street. It flows,
But
but
you got
that,
that going
There's something
good.
going on back there, cause they put all that tile in, they put PVC back in, didn't they?
Yeah.
from, once you hit that distribution box, then Rick Rogers put PVC, and it's, you can shoot out to get to the storm sewer.
Well, another thing to keep in mind right now is they're actually pulling water through, Puxcon's actually pulling water through their plastic conduit where all their underground cable is, and it's going from box to box to box and filling it up. So that may also be a big part of your problem, because that's what is going on in most of the areas that I've seen. But we don't know where the water's originally coming from, and so that's what we need to.
That would make sense,
Hunt
because
down.
it's, once you hit that T where like Bill's yard, Gino's yard, my yard, Jack's yard, it's wet, east to west, north to south right there. So that would make
Easiest
sense.
I'm glad you guys
for
came,
water.
because I did
You
not,
knife it
I
in,
honestly
and
did
it's
not
a-
know.
It's a waterway
You
path
guys
underground.
Guys,
Yeah,
it
it's
used to
a-
be
having
ravine
issues
years
back
ago.
there too.
It's a swamp back there.
That's what I
And
thought.
normally we just, I ran a transfer pump the past few years and pumped it out down to the, then he snaked it last year.
Yeah, like last May, June.
And when it runs, if it runs, then
Yeah, if it's running, it's-
everything
As long
stays dry.
as long as we have the space, I mean, I can always call, MVP in and have them, bust through whatever we need, or even televise to see what's going on.
Just sometime, whenever, just if you see us down there or you wanna meet, just come meet us, we'll show you exactly.
Yeah,
where we're at.
absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate that. Is there any more questions on that?
I'd like to give consideration to this, maybe running a whole new tile system and putting drains in the guys' backyards where needed, and funneling it towards that manhole, by, what's his name's house there.
Well, you probably just route it to the,
Well, we can take it into
to the main
consideration, because
stormwater
that's
intake
some
down
thought.
there.
I would not take close to it, I know that much.
Take care of a fair amount, but then it comes to city property, private property,
That's what we need to check into.
all that.
It's
So-
all,
It's an
it's
easement,
easement.
there's an
Okay.
easement all the way through there
Go to there,
to the
try
road. Where Jack's, yeah, right between here, I think it's like 10
it's a big
foot.
easement at least.
10 foot on either side of these,
Yeah.
The
you
yards,
tell me
yeah.
behind you.
Yeah, I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
I got a plot of it because Gino plotted off his yard, and the guy who came there brought me the map. But yeah, there's an
Oh, that was
easement
nice.
all the way between the yards, all the way
Yeah,
down.
we got a picture of the easement, so you can,
Oh, that's sweet.
you can do whatever you want.
I've got the easement maps and stuff up on the computer too, so. So.
God, we got some shit accomplished. Yeah.
We're really doing something. All right, next thing, the snow route signs. If you guys think those look good, then I will
Perfect.
pull the trigger, and it's just cheaper to go with DOT rather than I'm having a brain fart. Sherry, help me out. Prison Industries.
What color you gonna paint the paint?
They'll be red. They'll be red.
That follows all the,
I can put them in any color you want. You want them pink, purple,
Yeah.
blue, green, whatever, but
just follow the federal regs for signage.
snow routes have a little more leeway, so. I've seen some fun ones. The stormwater construction project and the road overlay that we've got going up here. So they just informed me that they are working on a water main project in Ames, and they're not gonna be hitting us up until probably at least July 1, maybe a little after that, which kind of pushes back. I think Forrest and I were kind of hoping for a May 1 start date, maybe a June 1 at the latest, but how the cookie crumbles.
I thought when we voted, we were all, set forth to have it completed by schools starting in
So
August.
the contract that we sent out to them has a completion date of November 30th, 2025. So they just have to fall within that. There's no start date specified, and I've asked other people in the field, and that's not an
Well,
uncommon occurrence.
at council, when we voted and he was here, didn't we?
I don't remember the date.
I thought it was
I
discussed
thought it
that
I
by
thought it was
school
before school starting, yeah.
Yeah, so when I found that out, I came up and looked at the contracts. I didn't have anything to do with the contract end of it, that's our engineering firm. Once we, or you as the council, accept the bid, then, and they do the contract, so, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. I've worked with Doug at Inroads before, a lot, obviously, you guys know that. And he doesn't think there's gonna be a problem with getting the roads overlaid, even pushing it back to mid-September into October, trying to get those done. I mean, obviously, we can't anticipate what the weather's exactly gonna be like, but I don't think it's necessarily gonna be a huge issue.
Are all the roads, even 141st place that runs in front of the school, that's getting overlaid too?
No, so that one, that
Okay.
is the only road that is
That's
going to
refreshing,
be open at all times.
That was my concern,
That's
because
the
a lot of
only road
traffic
that's gonna be
goes
open at all times, so,
into elementary,
yeah.
yeah,
So-
and the,
Yeah, so we were looking at a pre-con date, sometime at the end of the month here, or beginning of April, but with their anticipated start date, there's no sense in that. So we're just gonna go for after Memorial Day. And we'll get down to the nitty gritties, notifications, work timelines, all that stuff. When we do that pre-con meeting, and then we'll just, we'll kind of play it by ear. I had a meeting with these guys, they know what they're doing, so, we might see this as, hey, it's one of the biggest undertakings that Alleman has, done in, 20 years or something, but to them, it's not that big of a project. So, I don't see this holding us up too much. I think we'll be just fine. So that's where we're at.
alright,
I mean, you guys have any questions on the DNR tree study or the site permitting that I'm doing?
No,
Okay, perfect. The debris management plan, that's basically just sets an outline for operations after, a significant storm event, and we don't have one, and that's just something I'm doing with Liaison Andreas. It's not a quick thing, and it's basically just for public works, like, hey, who are we contracted through for outside services, or, so on and so forth. It's just getting everything down so that there's an immediate plan, and we aren't going, what do we service, what do we don't, what equipment can we get, what can't we, things like that. So it'd probably be, it's gonna be a while on that, before we have anything put together to just show the council.
hey Perry, didn't they have an agreement one time with a couple of these rental companies around here that we can rent out equipment in emergencies?
I don't believe so, because the only emergency we really had is the derecho, and any event, me, my sons, a neighbor, and his kids would grab the chainsaw, we'd go through this whole part of town and cut down trees and bring them down here, and Rick would burn them. The derecho was the biggest thing, and then the tornado that happened down here, and
Well, this plan
that's
would just.
been in the last few years.
This plan just basically outlines the things that I already do and operate, but, some of the things that we don't have, like, hey, where's our debris site gonna be? That also has to do with the site permitting, so that we can get the FEMA money. It's just basically, this is what we're doing, this is who we use for waste disposal, this is where our debris site is. It's just kind of generic stuff that keeps everything flowing smoothly, and if someone comes in as volunteers, we can say, here's a plan, this is how we operate, this isn't an emergency plan. This is just an operating procedure for public works or volunteers that might come in. We go under the Polk County EOC for their emergency plan. And I've got that for anybody who wants a copy of it, and it lays out exactly how everybody is supposed to, what their jobs are, basically, so.
But since the ratio and that whole fiasco, we're 100% better. We've got plans in effect. We're in touch with everybody that needs to be identified, and Polk County knows that our plan, everybody knows, so now we're golden.
These are just some of the things that come on the backside of that, like,
Yep.
hey, these are
Follows up through.
it just gets talked about in meetings, like when I go down there, hey, what are the things that could have been smoother or could have been, so it's just, yeah. The road maintenance is the only other one that I'll need, approval, for funds on. So the material that we use now is a cold pour material, and it holds up fine for small repairs, but with the amount of roads that we're going to be overlaying and the fact that we want to keep those roads nice, I think that it would be wise to invest in a hot box and a melting box. There's a picture of it on the back. It's the one I would like to purchase. It's gonna make things a little bit easier for me to get it done. I can use a better material on the roads. I just think personally, from how much we're gonna be putting in, I think we should, make sure we're.
Here's some thought I've been thinking about, the bad road down there. I've been going, trying to come down it.
West End.
Yeah, so they're not gonna get here for this part of town to overlay stuff. Keep an eye on that. And when they start this project up here, keep an eye on that. And if they got the equipment here, see what they will do for, I don't know, it seemed like it was a city block long to mill it out and put a layover. When do you think we're gonna get to 134? 2-3 years?
Well,
Would it be worth our money to have them come mill out 2 inches for
we
a
can't.
block and then put it back in
I
and,
would highly advise against that.
okay?
So I did the cores, and there's only like 3 1/4, maybe 3 1/2 on that west end. And with the alligator cracking and, the undermining of that road, if we put a 2-inch on there, we're just gonna get the same cracks back.
But how long did it take to get them cracks? That road's been there
Well, when you look at spending.
for many, many years. I don't think it's ever been done since I've been here.
Right, but if you
So
look at
that's
spending,
25, 30 years.
if you look at spending 80,000 for that west end to do a 2-inch,
Well, I was thinking, get a cut rate, they're already here, mill out that block long, so what's that, 1,000 feet? And get the worst. 3 years from now, we'll get in there and do the whole road, or, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I thought we talked 2 or 3 years.
You're not talking fixing it, you're talking about putting a Band-Aid on it to get us.
Right.
Get us by for 2 or 3 years till we, and it's just that one area, it's like by Bob's house, or, it's bad.
Yeah.
If we could get something for 15,000 or.
If I can talk to Doug, and I can
Just-
talk him
yeah,
into a
just see.
discounted rate,
Yeah, see what he says while they're here.
then yes. But if he says no, then you gotta go through the same process as you did with these roads, because you'd have to go through the engineering firm to do the open bid processing, because I cannot give you guys a bid under state law for the amount that would cost.
Because what'd you spend last year fixing the road and the year before? Say $5,000 already. What are you gonna spend now to fix
I had
the
that
road?
printout.
Another $5,000, that's $10,000. What would you spend the next 3 years? Another $5,000 a year. Now you're up to $25,000. Just spend the 15, 20 grand or whatever and fix it so it lasts 3 years. And your time, I don't know, just throw it out there and see what they say.
Okay. Let me
Check the avenues of what's going on with the money, that you gotta put it up for bid. I don't know, just
Yeah,
see what,
let me talk to Doug and see what kind of
there you go.
what kind of information I can get and bring it back to the council. And we'll go that route.
Yep.
If we can't, then you guys can.
Yeah, if you
Can
can't, you
discuss
can't,
alternatives.
but, you know, we tried to, try.
Anyway, so that's the only other thing that I'll need the council approval on. The other stuff is just the training I got coming up. Bob had me put in the budgetary estimates and the timelines for the equipment replacements. I'm not entirely sure what his intentions, besides the questions that you guys had already posed on this, were. I don't think we really need to talk about that, so he's back. And the water system budgetary stuff, I mean, I've kind of laid out anything that could happen, any kind of unforeseen failures and repairs we could make. And I would say what we have in the water fund would cover any of that. So I don't know if, Scott, were you involved in that conversation with Scott Andreas about the water?
I don't think
So, I know Lauren, you had some questions on it, but, the water system,
Yeah,
you have any questions about that?
The well pumps, replacing all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
you
I already got
ever hear any
contingencies
more
for all that.
information from that gal from the county about getting that grant and see about getting some extra help for rebuilding pumps and stuff if we need it, and setting up a system if we have a total emergency, or when we don't have water, we still have water.
I have not, and that's a question to be posed to the National Guard, so, and I can
Well,
talk.
what's her name? Barb should help us out on that. She said she would.
No, her name is Laura. Her name is
Laura,
Laura.
whatever her name is.
And if I was gonna ask that question, I would go with Cameron, since he's a member of the National Guard, and they, I believe, had equipment at one point for that, but I don't know if that's a thing. So I'll reach out to him and ask, but everything else, the questions that Andreas had asked me, we're in the clear for any kind of unforeseen expenditures that come up. We have plenty in the water fund, and I've already got contingencies in place. I've got a rebuilt pump motor back here ready to be put in if I need to. We've done replacements, and I do. I laid out the yearly maintenance that I do on this, so we're sitting just fine. So, that's it.
Wait,
Let's go back to, because Andrew Rush doesn't make these inclusions here.
okay, Steve Davis with
Okay,
that.
over here,
Thank
can
you,
you
sir.
can get out of that chair. This is Andrew Larson, he's a co-owner of Makepeace Education. And their contract is up, so we could keep the same contract and move forward after, if you guys have any questions about the service that they provide.
I'm fine.
We have a lengthy cleanup day.
We normally have a cleanup day in the fall.
Yep, in the fall.
And their other company that I did get a bid for last time, they would only do dumpsters uptown, or Andrew's crew will go house to house and pick up stuff.
How about that?
Curbside.
Curbside,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Curbside.
Them guys clean up well, they're personable. I help Logan go around and load up all the dryers and hot water heaters, and you got a bunch of good guys there that come up here and take care of us. Yeah.
You do. My little one comes out and she waves. He waves at her and
Yeah.
she watches it.
Most days aren't like that, so.
We know, everybody has their days, but they're, for the most part, they're pretty good.
And they do it quickly because I think they wanna get home.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you're forcing them, or you're bribing them with cookies.
Well, they're all
and
GPS.
Yeah, so, but yeah, they're a bunch of good guys, so, I'm real happy with how you treated over many years, so.
The trash and the yard waste, I think the yard waste has worked well coming to the house.
I like that one, rule. And it starts April 4th.
I think it's actually July 1st, is the
July
conference
1st?
day. Yeah, oh, yard waste,
Yes.
yes. We actually start April 1st, yeah.
Okay.
And ours is on Friday, so that's April 4th.
Okay. Yeah, that
Yes.
works.
The first Friday of the month.
Yeah.
of
Okay.
April.
So all in all, what are we,
I just didn't know if you guys would have any questions for Andrew, so I just
Okay.
invited him just to
yeah,
pop in and see.
yeah, well, it's nice to see a face of an owner come up and,
He just lives a couple miles over.
Yeah, I'm not too far away,
Yeah,
so. But, no, and back on the emergency plan, so we, in several cities, we have a crew for, like, if there's bad derecho,
Yeah, that's
so
exactly
a lot
what
of
I'm talking
Ankeny,
about.
Pleasant Hill, Windsor Heights, we actually have 2 excavators that will
Yeah.
do emergencies. So
well,
always keep
They
them
were
in
in my
mind. when
meetings.
Bad
put
things happen,
that
right?
guy on your list of
So-
can-do guys.
We can always,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just when bad things happen, they happen,
Yeah,
right?
they happen.
We're gonna be able to go.
Yeah.
Just keep me in mind.
Oh, and I will say,
Yeah.
if ever I have had something that's come up, you guys have been right on the money. Whenever I need a roll off or anything else
Good.
that comes up. So you guys,
Good.
you've got a great staff.
Yeah.
It really works for us. So.
You guys got any
And you
thoughts?
if my number too, so.
Yeah.
If things come up, just, we can handle it.
I think we're good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, all right,
Thanks.
thank you. Reach out if there's something later.
Yeah. Well, didn't they do some of the sign stuff for us?
They made our banners.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that-
Crab shop,
Yeah, that's a great additive
Love those.
to your,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, they do, they
Do
look
a little
nice.
bit of everything. so.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, all right, have a great night.
Everybody take
You
care,
too.
man.
Yep, thanks.
Park grant update?
Okay, Bob asked for this to be in there. This was the grant that I applied for Curry Meadows, the legacy grant. And it got bounced back because legacy took for $1 million or more, and this is only 77,000.
Okay.
So,
build a new bridge.
huh?
Bridges of,
Let's restore the
The
bridge.
bridge
That
was
is a
not.
hot
Covered
topic,
bridge.
Scott. Don't start.
Hey, so this will
I
go,
wanted to
I
Kevin.
do too. I do too.
this will go to Polk County in July as a different grant,
Okay.
a community betterment grant. But just keep you guys
Community
in the loop.
betterment
Okay.
grant.
It was not a legacy, it was not enough money.
Well, why didn't we know that before we applied for it?
I don't think that was a meeting Bob had with Curry Meadows, and
We have it, what's
Curry Meadows asked me to do it, and
Okay, next. 134? Oh, are we not done with that?
no, we're not.
Okay.
Uh,
134th, repaid.
okay.
That was, Bob asked me to put it on the agenda, so the plan proceed, that he would like to see that project move forward this year. We kind of already talked about that, and his suggestion then.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
we have
like,
to
no,
see
I do
how-
have one
That's all
question. Does anybody remember what we're paying for down here? How much we ended up spending down here? Do you know?
640,000.
How much?
I think it's 640.
640.
640 to 700, I think we put on there in contingency.
And some of that's coming from a tip, right?
Oh, it's coming from.
100.
Okay.
So,
And then we had our 3 options for 134th.
And that's when we talked about,
So that was all the discussion, we didn't know where to go, which options we wanna do, so we only had so much money in TIF. So that's why we decided to push this off, and have more discussions about it, to decide what we wanna do.
Yeah.
Do we wanna make it the same, do we want sidewalks, do we want storm sewer, do we want curbs, what?
What do you guys think while you're here?
You keep getting us separated though, because you never turn around, slow down.
he's not talking to us, can we mute him?
Okay. So did you guys see the 3 options that we had gone over?
Yeah, I see him.
So when we originally had these 3 options, we had these 3 options for 134th, and then we also had down here this storm sewer. And we all agreed pretty much that this was kind of super duper important, even though I was in favor of 134th.
We're all
Well,
in favor.
I know, but, yep.
Yeah.
And so,
We all have so much.
so
money.
out of these 3 options, what do you think?
Well, definitely don't want number 3. We're talking about widening that 14 feet. It's
Yeah.
gonna make our driveways really steep coming in off the road.
Okay.
The road's way too high now. Actually, the houses were built way too low.
Yeah.
But you widen that 14 feet, we're gonna, at least the guys on the south side are gonna have a mess
Yep.
trying to get in their driveways with trailers.
And they talked about
Well,
putting
and
sidewalks
talking
on that
5 foot
south side of the
sidewalk on
road,
either side.
so that people walking their dogs and stuff
Both
could.
sides. This says 5 foot both sides.
Yeah, well, and we talked about just one side too. So to keep people safe, to do the Detmer Drive kind of
Yeah.
runabout.
Yeah, I get that, but
But
something's gonna have to be done. If you're gonna widen it that far, you have to lower the road to begin with.
Drop
And
down.
then that's not feasible. And not that I can tell, you know, you've already got Denver coming in and then going north of Denver into the cornfield.
Yep,
That elevation's set,
pretty much.
so I don't know, would not be in favor of widening that 14 feet, not at all.
And
You're
to do,
saying-
that would be the storm sewers and the sidewalks. Is that right?
No.
And I definitely don't know how you're gonna get it done for 1.2 million. Not that, that's a long ways. I mean, I'm in construction.
Well, that's,
Well, this is
kind
a
of
year
what it is
old,
we
too.
got.
That's what,
It's a
yeah.
year old.
Yeah.
Well, now it's-
Well, now, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
And then it didn't count for, what didn't they count for? Oh, that was number 2, they didn't include a lot of the stuff. So,
Yeah, there's quite a lot of odds and ends that still aren't in these,
yeah.
because these went to force, and these were just to give you guys a baseline. So
Ballpark.
there's odds and ends, you know, that,
The storm sewers would be nice, it would alleviate a lot of problems.
Yes, well, to stop all the water from running clear through
Right.
Detmer, Drive and get it caught there, run it down to the
That would be
creek and
nice.
get it, instead of going, that's why we did up here.
I would
All
be
this,
for
we gotta stop the water from going through our communities.
doing the sidewalks on the north side, but then you gotta convince the guys on the north side that it's gonna work for them. You know, most of those driveways are flat with the road.
Yeah, they're flat.
All of ours come up into the road now. When you pull a trailer in there now, I mean, I don't have an issue.
Yeah, but it would be an
But
issue.
yeah, it would be if you're gonna stretch it out that far.
I see it.
I'm gonna have an issue.
my opinion on the west end of 134th has not changed since when we talked about this last. There's a 2 to 3 year span that you guys have before that road ends up looking like 5th Street over here, where you have big holes that I'm just putting gravel
Yep,
in. So,
and that's been that way for 5-7 years at least.
But the.
Because I remember talking about that Fifth Street when we were talking, doing roads, and they said, well, nobody lives down, there's only one house down. It don't matter how many people live down the street, if it's bad, you gotta take care of it.
When you say the west side of 134th, are you talking like in front of Creamy's house?
I'm talking,
And
yeah,
up to
so from
the trees with the pine trees on the side right now?
From your
Yeah,
place
so it'd be
west,
the corner
right?
of, it'd be from the corner of 6th, 6th Street,
Scott's place west,
down to the corner, yes, down to Scott's, yeah.
down to Moyers.
Yeah, so that only has, that's the section that only has,
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
For
You're
this
just-
intersection.
Yeah,
yeah, that has a
down
here.
3 1/4 inch
Okay,
core.
okay, yep,
Really?
yep.
Yeah, the middle section of that has,
Come this way or
five
go
and
that
five
side.
5/8, and the east end of it has, 7 1/4. So we got a lot more lifts on the middle and the east end of that section, than we do on that west end.
That west
So-
side, which is deteriorating. bad.
Right, and so I don't know how that ended up being that way.
Either, because that road is always,
It had to be done when Detmer went in there or before. So that when it was a county road or something, before all the houses got put in and it got switched over into Alleman.
well, it's at least 30 years.
Yeah, I've never seen that
I've never seen that
road.
either. Oh.
So you're gonna
I
see
remember
deterioration
this one
on that
happened,
much
but I
faster.
don't remember that.
Sure.
Well, they put a slurry, pea gravel kind of deal on it, and then they just keep building up.
There's 2 stop
And then they
signs.
finally get to a point, they go, well, we're just
2
blacktop.
stop signs.
That's how Polk County.
Oh, yeah.
That's,
Yeah, and then from that one to ours.
But I can't remember it ever being
Ours to the,
paved since.
right, I would
69.
agree with it, this is the worst.
But it sounds like we got quite a little time to think about ideas.
Well, I'd like to see, some kind of plan, hard plan in effect by the end of the year, and, like he said, in 2 to 3 years, that thing's gone. And then you do the paperwork stuff the following year, and then you gotta, the third year, you're getting it done.
So you're still thinking this is 3 years away?
2 to 3,
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah.
Cause you got a lot of deals you gotta step through, you know, your funding.
No,
and you
that's what I
gotta
was
get-
thinking.
Get the guys out there and do all the hard numbering Logan's done a lot already to get that a ball rolling. It shouldn't be starting from scratch. We're a little bit better than that, but I'm with you. Last year it was 1.2, this year it's probably 1.6, next year it's gonna be 2. You gotta bite the bullet and get it done,
Yeah.
cause it's falling apart.
I do like that you're thinking about the water
At least some
issue.
degree of this, I agree. I
Get that
don't know about
Think
if
about
we
it.
decide, I would say yes, we need to get something done, one of these options, sooner rather than
Well,
later.
I'm not for the sidewalks, cause there's a lot of communities without sidewalks. I get it for the kids and everything, we fought it. Shelville has, their roads they're way less width than ours.
They got single lane roads.
Yeah, but there's a lot of communities, I go to many communities a year, and there's a lot of communities with no, storm sewers, no sidewalks, they just,
I would agree, and I don't think anybody who moved to this community moved here for the sidewalk.
yeah.
So I don't think,
Yeah.
I think you're finding that spot.
But we were worried about our dipping into our,
Yeah.
because then that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I'm glad to have that input because it kind of eliminates that whole scenario.
Yeah.
That would be more difficult. I apologize for my ignorance, but my question is how much did it cost to do these roads up here in the context of how long will it take for us to pay that off relative to spending money to do this one?
640 for the stormwater and all of the roads.
Up in here.
So it encompasses the entire northern.
And we got roads up there that are 35 years old, that Fifth
Sure.
Street.
Sure.
Have you ever been down there?
They were-
I don't think there's a piece of blacktop in that road that's
Yeah.
big
It
anymore.
was in rough shop. How long does it take for us to pay all that off?
It's TIF money, so it's the tax increment fund, and it'll be about 10 years.
From down here?
Yeah,
So 10 years we'll have that paid off with that money down here?
yes.
Okay.
134th could be general fund money, so.
I would
Yeah,
I would say, just to put it in context, I could go and I could spend $30,000 on the same material that I've been putting in there to Band-Aid it, and I could do all the Band-Aids that I possibly could, and it's gonna last 1 to 2 years, and it might cost us 30 grand.
Pardon me for interrupting, but could somebody please let me know who it was that asked the last question?
It was me, Bobby Nairn.
The term
Is
pay
this
off.
Scott, is this Andrew?
Yes.
Bobby Nairn, Scott.
I'm sorry?
Bobby Nairn.
Can you hear us, Scott?
Barely.
All right, there you go.
See if that works. And then,
It's
Yeah,
Bobby Nairn.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I was curious.
yep. All right,
But yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah,
yep.
That's kind of what I wanted to know, right?
yeah, I just,
So the whole sidewalk thing, I think, is where that came from, is when we did our study of what people really wanted. They
Community
wanted,
visioning.
on the community visioning, they wanted safe places. That was brought up a lot, places to walk.
Sidewalks and.
I can see it on one side maybe,
Right,
if
and
it's
then,
needed, but
then it's the whole thing of, okay, so now if it's on one side or the other side, who gets the sidewalk? Or who has to take care of the sidewalk in the winter, or why do they get one and I don't? It's never gonna be,
well, then no sidewalk.
it's never gonna be an agreeable.
there was
thing.
discussion about putting it on the north side.
And there was, we had that
Behind
discussion
the fire ventilation.
on one side versus another.
But
Like,
then you
we
still
got
gotta
into that
cross,
whole-
So
if
it's
you're walking and it's a.
Behind the house is
factor.
not in front.
Behind the house, not along the street.
Oh, we didn't
Behind the
have the
house.
behind the house, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah, no.
But then we would
It's like
still need,
putting a
since
sidewalk
that's a
from
waterway, we would
the
still need
end
the
of
storm.
south side of Six
in
all
there,
the
so
way
it's
up
still- The price is still there because we'd still need the storm.
No,
Yeah,
I don't see where sidewalks are needed.
With the park, that's a beautiful place to walk.
Yeah.
I walk it all winter long.
at one time they talked about filling both the ditches in on the same side, putting storm sewer in there, putting catch basins in different lots and places. Then we have the option, if we're gonna put a sidewalk on either side, that put it in the future, and leaving the street the same width. Probably take the street out and put 4 or 6 inches of blacktop in it, make it last forever, and build it up. Then after that project's done, they got a place they can walk on grass on either side. If you wanna put concrete on either side. And that drops the elevations of the roads down a little bit, for driveways and stuff like that, and we maintain them. There's a couple on the north side, if you get them filled in, that'd be just right for the drain. So that's all planned. I thought.
Yeah.
That way, if they had to park on the street, they get halfway off on the street and park on the grass a little bit.
Sure.
That's the idea.
It's definitely a busy street.
There's a lot of cars going down.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot busier in the last decade.
Okay, should we move on?
We got a north side Ankeny coming up, all the kids for school.
Well, thank you guys for coming
Hey,
here.
thank you, you answered my question.
Thank you for answering
Yeah.
everything, we
Yeah.
appreciate it very much.
Come back anytime.
Absolutely.
We like your input.
One of those entertainment?
Yeah, send the bill to Jack.
That one.
Check's in the mail.
Jack.
I can buy him all here.
Between these guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
All right, thanks.
Maybe sometime I can get him to come out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Comprehensive plan update?
That'd be great. And
Yeah,
anytime.
phone conference nice last week, he's got the document done, he's going to present it to me next week, so hopefully we'll have it for the work session next week to review, and planning and zoning will need to review that also. That's coming right along.
Okay, then fiscal year 25, 26, halfway.
Have a blessed night.
Anybody got anything on that?
We're gonna comp plan?
We smoked right through that one.
Planning and zoning to review here in the next couple of weeks. And then come to council.
Correct.
Anybody got any comments on that? Staff wages?
So, has anybody proposed anything, or we just have this? Nobody's proposing anything?
There's nothing here.
Like,
Maybe cost of living or something, if you guys are into that.
okay, so. Okay.
Just put
Here's
Sherry
my
back
opinion.
in. Huh?
Mhm.
Sherry, don't take any of this. I don't think Sherry needs another one because she got 2 last year.
Yep.
I think hers is still sufficient. I think we need to think about what we need to do for her.
Well, do we have any upgrades on classes taken? Do we have any of that information before us on paper? Like the classes that you've taken, are we
I can get that.
certified as a city clerk? Did we do anything to enhance our, what is that title?
Perry, we never
City.
updated the roles and responsibilities of that, so
Yeah,
we never updated that, whatever that piece was. Job description, we
Yeah.
never updated that since all this happened, and that was
Yeah.
one of the things that was on the list, but has never been updated, so. So as far as the raises, I don't know, again, I think Sherry got one in the middle of the year and at the beginning of the year, so I believe we're covered for it.
so, are you hearing that, Scott?
I am.
Okay, good.
So I think that if we're gonna do a cost, a cost of living, I think it should be all around, if that's what we're going at. Like, if we're
Let's-
gonna
let's
do
not
a
call it
1.5%, or if you're gonna give just Logan a raise, then I think we need to look at that, like, if we're gonna do cost of living, I think it needs to be straight across the board, a percentage. If we're giving one person a raise, I think we need to talk about that particular thing. So I guess what is everybody's thought on cost of living versus individual raises?
Well, I would like to speak to that directly, if I could, please. I don't believe in blanket policies that cover everyone in a equal manner, because not everyone is equal. Not every performance is worthy of positive or negative review as a matter of course. So any kind of an established cost of living, ipso facto, July 1 comes around and boom, it happens. I'm not for that. But I am for definitely merit raises for performance and to Aaron's point, for documented further education and things of that nature. So I'm very, very opposed to any kind of a situation where, yep, here's the raise on July 1st for everybody across the board equally. I don't like that. I never have for any reason. I don't think it's fair to the people who achieve versus the people who slack. And I am not, please do not misunderstand, I am not saying that we have either of those in our midst. We only have two to deal with, and they're both very good at what they do. So please don't misunderstand. But that was just to illustrate the point that blanket policies are not favorable for anyone, and it's not equitable, and I would not support one.
Like at my job, we get a review. Our boss reviews us. Do we have that from Bob?
Yeah. And right here,
Did you both get one?
yes.
Yeah.
So what we do is we fill out one and Bob fills out one, and then we sit and we kind of compare them. So they're both in there.
Why didn't we have that with this paperwork so we could,
Because if I give it to you guys that way, then it has to be posted online.
well, you're giving it to us now?
Well, it's our
This is,
it's our private employment record.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
So-
can pass it down, I'm okay with it.
so I think we're all in consensus about a merit raise, right? Like what you've done during the year, what you've done, okay.
Yep, I
So,
like that.
I like the merit, I think we're all on the merit.
Scott, you need
instead
to
of,
see this or,
No, I'm good.
Okay. I do remember, Sherry, when we did the $30, we talked about you were going to do those certain things for, except for we didn't do the job description.
We never clearly defined what that was going to be.
Define what that was gonna be, okay. All right, but you did do the clerks, you finished that? All right,
And on my review for the coming year, at the bottom, I wrote the things I would like to try to accomplish for the coming year.
okay. So goals for the
Goals for the coming year.
coming year,
Yes.
all right.
it really don't show any of your classes that you took to enhance your,
Here's the list right here.
No, because we're constantly doing continuing education. I mean, Sherry and I both, we do maybe one, maybe two a month or so. Maybe we have a month where we don't, but we're constantly going to events together to learn new things and
Do you have
continue our education.
certifications versus, do you have certifications versus education? Does that make sense? Like, do you have a certification that you've gotten in the last year?
cause it doesn't say anything about any classes taken or anything in the paperwork I'm looking at here.
So because we don't do like water, kind of, most of my stuff is just continuing education, or it's like my work zone safety certification. I got that coming up at the end of the month. It's just kind of the general stuff that I have to do. Sherry's is more of a,
Here's the tracking system here, they're by year, the 2004 is at the bottom. Alright,
most of mine is like keeping up to date on the, state policies or materials that are now, can I use, all that kind of stuff. So that's most of the classes that I do through ISU. I get a certificate, but it's not a certification.
No,
Participation trophy.
It's
Yeah.
basically it says, hey, you were here, you learned this,
yep.
but you didn't spend a year doing it.
Have any other thoughts, you wanna review it, or?
these are all the classes you've taken, or is it just I'm a municipal professionals institutional?
That's the current school classes I've taken, yes. I've got the FEMA certification for disaster response.
No, you can have the classes, I just want to see those. Andreas, do you have any questions since you're on the phone and can't see the papers we're looking at?
Well, nothing that I think would make, sense for anybody to bother with trying to explain it to me. If they're, or I can come take a look at them when I get back, it make more sense. This being a work session, we can't vote on anything anyway,
Right.
correct?
Correct. No, I was just wondering if you had any questions since we had it right here.
I mean, my thought on the matter is just, continuing ed versus advancement education, would definitely be, two completely different categories to look at. And I also wanted to caution everybody too, that to Perry's point about the annual reviews and whatnot, you're dealing with people who work directly with you in some manner throughout the year, and most of us have very little interaction with these two people in question throughout the year on a day-to-day basis. But what I do see from them is stuff gets done and problems aren't happening. Their problems aren't being created by the two people who are in these positions, which means we can trust them, and that goes a long way. So what I want you to consider is anything that's done to advance both the city agenda and personal agendas in their careers should be taken into account. And also we need to be sure that we're taking into account the lack of problems that the people in those positions create for us. They solve a lot of our issues. We ask them to do something that gets done. We never get any pushback. There's no infighting. These are two very good, very reliable people. So I want you to consider that before you consider all of the minutia of what did you do for continuing ed, what did you do for advancement ed, what kind of grades did you get, did you submit any paperwork? So I don't want to get lost in that and lose sight of the other. And I just thought that needed to be said out loud, and I guess that's all I have to say about that, is that it needs to be said.
Sounds good. Anyone else?
I'm with Scott. I think we need to keep the two separate because they're two separate entities.
Agreed.
Question becomes, what do we want to vote on at the next session? I think it's either, we have to come up with something, we can't just have a blanket, hey, let's vote on a raise. Well, we need to just.
Do it on merit, or
We need to decide.
And I'm with you.
We need to quantify that somehow.
We gave 2 raises last year. Bob stood there, sat in his chair shaking the paper. If she don't get a raise, I'm quitting. And that was a pressure situation for everybody sitting up here. That shouldn't have never happened. That put the council in a very unsatisfactory predicament as far as I'm concerned about the whole situation.
What do you think?
I don't disagree that it was done was mishandled, but it wouldn't have swayed my vote one way or the other.
Agreed. I would second that it wouldn't have swayed my vote one way or the other. But it does feel a little awkward with us all in the same room. It feels like some of the things that are happening on an open forum should be happening behind closed doors. It's new to me. The government thing is new to me on how that works as far as the employee-employer relationship, because the employer is the people involved in it. It's not me or Bob or, any single one of us. It's kind of awkward when that all happens in a room, in the spotlight, and then we're asked to make a decision lickety split. So I kind of would like to use that that statement or what have you, to suggest that somehow we look at the procedures of how the reviews are done. Is there a means test? Does it happen on July 1? Are we submitting performance reviews on paper, things of that nature? And can we clean this up and make it a better process for everyone involved on all sides?
Well, talking about it is the beginning of that, so thanks for that, Scott.
So I just have a quick question, then we can. Historically, and I know we talked about this last time, historically, has it been just like, we just sit here and be like, oh yeah, raise, like.
Yep, that's the way it was when the last guy was here, always got a 3, and then when the insurance craze went on, they would give him a 3 to 5% raise and incur all of his insurance.
Okay.
And I voted no for a long time, because you don't incur 100% paid insurance and give a guy a 3 to 5% increase. That was a lot of money. And it went that way until,
You left?
until Sherry became full-time. Yeah, Sherry became full-time besides a city employee. Then we had to change things. So that's been 5 years, 7. So that's when we had to really start to sit down and deal with something more than that. And with the city of Alleman was current over $100,000 into one city employee because of the costing us $3,000 to $5,000 a year for the insurance increase, and then giving them a 3 to 5% rate at 60. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's the history of.
Okay, yep. That rings a bell now.
That was a third of the city's income paid out to one person. It should have never got that far, but it did. So now we have due diligence, and granted, our situation, the financial situation is way greater now. So we can be more competitive with other cities is the best way to put it.
So this one is more about wages, not necessarily all of the other peripheral stuff that goes along with it. It's just about wages, right? This particular discussion?
Well, and if you remember last time we talked, we were trying to get them both back to what they had when they moved here to help the city. Now at what we did before the special meeting, the unlawful meeting and vote, that's where we were at. And then one got more than the other, and the other is now back where they were at before they moved
I
here.
remember all that, but
Yeah,
what we're
yeah.
talking about now, what's on, it's wages. Is that,
Yep.
that's not necessarily insurance stuff?
Nope, that's just,
Wages.
yeah. I don't know, did insurance go up for everybody?
That's a question for the account.
More than likely.
Yeah, more than likely.
It's going up.
So the question becomes, usually what happens is somebody will throw a number out, we'll talk about it, and we'll vote on it, and decide.
Well, we had, I got with the accountant last time, because we were gonna do a across the board deal, and that's where I got my numbers, is from the accountant. What everything would cost the city for both employees to get this, whatever it was, $5 an hour raise? I think it was pretty close to that, but anyway, and then it went all to where it's at, so.
So if we don't have something to vote on, whether it stays the same, or we give X number of dollars worth of raises, there's nothing to vote on again next month.
No,
That's what I'm getting at.
yeah. Well, and we have the money, so it's not a money thing. So,
Really quick, I don't know who has them. Out of your possible points, how many points are possible? At the top, I know you
I
had
would-
points.
I would-
I know, I was just asking.
Oh, how many points are possible?
Yeah, just how many,
Don't say what you got, just how
just
many,
say how many points. I thought I saw it at the
there's
top.
how many questions?
Like how many questions, times 5, whatever.
18 questions.
18 questions and 5 is the most.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Sorry, I think I'm gonna do some.
Sure, no. I didn't,
So-
I thought it would be helpful.
I'm just thinking of maybe like a standard, that could be one part of a standard,
Well,
maybe that we can
the
go
difference
moving forward.
between me and Sherry in that regard is the city's not gonna pay for any kind of certifications for me because we don't use them here. So wastewater, water, any of that kind of stuff, like she uses the clerk school stuff, the city pays for that. So any of the education I do, it's not certifications, other than a few minor things, the work zone safety, that's a certification, but it's not, I don't have a whole lot of options when it comes to that, because we won't utilize that in the city.
Yeah.
And the city's not gonna pay for that.
Yep. No.
So most of mine is just continuing ed and that kind of thing.
So should we make it so it's on merit? And what percentage of, inflation is or whatever?
I think solely merit.
I would say solely merit, and then I think that we should come up with some sort of standard, so to say, like if you're, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. So if you exceed expectations, like you did so many education and you did so many this and you did so many this, and then your score was this, then a 3%. But if you're kind of a little lacking and you kind of just need a little things, then, 2 or 1.5 or 1, you know what I mean? Like a scaled system that we can at least go off, so we're not sitting here, the next council sitting here going, okay, now what do we do?
well, you gotta remember too, a nurse goes and gets more education, it all comes out of her pocket. These guys,
Yeah.
in-house,
Yeah.
the city pays for their education.
yeah.
So are you creating a monster of, I'm getting 8 hours a week on my education and the city's paying for it, so that's kind of a,
But I can't do that.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying, like, put it all in combined, like,
Yeah.
not necessarily, so if I go get 10 certifications, I'm gonna get 3% of mine, not that, just like all of it encompassing, right, like.
yeah. Education is good. I learn every day in my job. And
Well,
I,
that's a great point, Barry, that you learn every day in your job, and so do I, and the rest of us, and time is a great educator. It's not always about the classes and the degrees and the
yeah,
designations that come along with that. So we also want to be sure we guard against anything that could be considered insulting. I have myself experienced on several different jobs where through a series of standards, this is how this goes, this is how this review process happens, these are the boxes we check, here's your 25 cents an hour, and that made me quit a job. I'm done, I'm out. That was the most insulting raise I'd ever got. You know, here I'm expecting $3, $4, $5, and I got a quarter. And they were like proud of giving me a quarter. It was just, it was devastating to me. And I was done with that job. I was done with those people. And so we want to guard against that too, by setting the bar too low, so to speak. Just my 2 cents on that.
Well, if you remember, at this last same deal, Bob was wanting a 3% raise, which was very little before we got together as a council.
Yep.
And we decided we wanted to get these people back at what they started with at the job that they left to come here, and that's why we did what we did.
Yes, I agree, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But all I'm asking is that we don't discount experience.
Yeah.
Which we all get at a rate.
So how do you wanna talk about this at the next meeting?
I was gonna say, because we have to get budget, don't we? Like, we have to, by state law, we have to get budget, which,
You need to vote on it at the next meeting, Lauren.
so does anybody have a proposal that you can think of right now? Like, I know you said no Sherry, but Logan.
Has anybody talked to Bob about it?
Has Bob said anything? Do you have any?
I say put Logan right back up where we were at before
You
and
can't-
make the
you
two
can't
the
speak to
same,
me.
and then we can
Harry.
start the next year.
You cannot speak to me.
She just asked.
Either way.
Lauren, what are you thinking? What do you have in your thoughts?
I think we ought to do it on merit and, go from there.
What does the merit look like to you, though? That's
They're
kind of
doing
where
their
we're
job
at.
efficiently. Are they doing their job efficiently? I think they do.
Is it a percentage? Is it a dollar amount? Is it a?
I want to be careful with that, because you know how inflation go up, county goes down. I think it's a dollar amount we ought to look at.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I think
What do
we
you
should
guys
take
think
time.
about dollar amount versus percentage?
I don't like
It's so
this.
much easier to measure off a percentage than it is off of a figure. When you're talking about merits. And customarily, 3 to 4% is a merit raise. If you make the marks. You know, we're not talking about a sales force that has quotas to meet or anything of that nature. Or, you know, we're not talking about bonus structure or anything like that. We're talking about straight up, are you doing your job the way we ask you to do it? Are you doing it above and beyond what you're asked to do? Or are you doing less than what we're asking you to do? Or are you doing just enough to get by? Those are kind of the merit checkpoints that I would see as the basis of a starting point. And, you know, you could look at it we'll start with, 4%, and have 9 boxes. And each 2 boxes that don't get checked, you lose a percentage or something along that line. It's just so much easier to quantify the raise versus on a percentage versus a hard dollar number. Are we looking at giving you $100 a month raise or a $200 a month raise? Or are we talking about 2% a year, 3% a year, 4% a year?
Yeah.
It's just easier to do it that way.
The percentage ends up with a 3% raise, which equivalates out to a quarter or 50 cents an hour, and then that's why I don't like percentages. You need.
Well, I don't think we're there though, Perry. I think we're dealing about numbers bigger than that, and anyway. So I think that it's a valid point, but I don't think it applies.
you have to be careful on merits and performances. Every job's got a level. You can't do any more on a certain job. So I think they need to be careful using that and performance.
Well, I think a 3% raise on $25 is 70 cents.
I was gonna say, if you go up.
So percents don't pan out.
Yeah.
That don't even come up to cost of living.
Yeah, so if you go 4% on Logan's current wage as $26.10, he'll go up $1.04. If you go up 4% on Sherry, she'll go up $1.20. So.
Exactly. And, I was throwing numbers out as a basic
Yeah.
conversation,
No,
not as a, this is what I want.
Yeah.
So like you said, Scott, it's very hard for us because we don't deal with Sherry and Logan on a daily basis. So we're not here when things get tough and people gotta really, come together and work together and get the job done. We don't see all that every day.
Well, I give you guys a report every month, and these are the projects that are added to my task list, not my daily job. These are stuff that falls under my purview, and it's something larger than just the everyday tasks of maintaining the city.
Yep.
I guess my hope would be that we create an environment from which we promote a want, a need for self-improvement, for city improvement, for, just being better humans, and in that, it should be rewarded. I don't know how to quantify that, but I think it should be considered as well, as long as, I don't see anything negative from either of them. But again, don't work with them 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, I just don't. But I want to make sure that we foster self-growth too, and that we create a place they want to be, and that they feel wanted. And that usually equates to them going way above and beyond what we've ever asked them to do, and then taking a sense of pride in it. That's just the kind of the way I've always operated, and I would hope to see us kind of create that environment for the people that work for the city of Alleman as well.
Well, the city's done a great job in giving both of these employees the access to educate themselves with ongoing education and continuing to broaden their aspects of whatever to help the community. And before this last 5 years, none of that was done. There's no education, no continuing, no, well, we had a part-time city clerk and we had another city employee that just wanted to do things his way, so.
That's what.
So I agree with everything that everybody is saying.
Yeah,
I
now you just gotta come up with a number.
My comments are not because of one person is doing better than the other. My comments are more based off of, we bumped up one pretty dramatically without consideration of bumping both of them up at the same time. And, it's not that Scott is 100% on track with his discussions, and Perry, it's not one does better than the other, so that's not why I don't want to do one versus the other. It's just a point of
Fairness and.
sure. And I'm not saying one doesn't deserve anything. I think it just gets weighted a little differently.
Should we bring this up at the next city council meeting?
We gotta have something to vote on.
Well, so then this is my thought, since we all can't kind of figure it out right now. my thought is, why don't, we always have discussion before, right? Why don't we all, if you want to, or if not, bring a proposal to the table at the next council meeting? Like, this is my proposal, we should do this because of X, Y, Z. Or, because we all have, I think we're all on the same page, but nobody can put a quantified number to that.
Do you think this should be a closed door meeting with the city council?
I don't think it can be. The only time you can close it is if it is something specifically about them that could hurt their.
I don't think we need to do it personally, but I'm just saying.
I don't want to
It can be closed.
I don't want to make a mistake.
Lauren.
I know for a fact that
Be
Bob,
closed.
I know that Bob was talking about this. Do we want to call Bob? I don't know if he had.
Can I make a suggestion that you form a two-person committee, so you don't have a quorum, you've got two people, and those two people come up with an answer, and the rest of you guys respect that answer as what moves forward.
Good idea.
No.
No, that's why you have a council, that's why you have 5 people. That way it gets,
Are you thinking of, Amanda, are you thinking of a number?
I'm not right now, like I said,
Harry, are you
I
thinking of a
wanted,
number?
I wanted to know
I
the
am.
points and the things. It's
Lauren?
good.
to be fair, and that should give you my number, to be fair.
Lauren, are you thinking
Back
of a
to
number?
square one, like we wanted to do last time.
Yeah, I know. So. One way I see a number is be kind of high, because in the future, I don't know what's going on, or what's in the budget.
Well, I can tell you what, we got over $1.5 million in the bank. So, it's not about the budget.
It's not about the money.
Bob's.
It ends in 10, I think.
So, do you have a number?
Yes, I do.
So you have a number, I don't have a number, because I can't make an educated decision without all my information. You have a number, Lauren, do you have a number?
Not really.
Not really. Scott, do you have a number?
I do,
You do?
but I do, but like you said, it was, we should come to the table, with proposals. And you, like you said, you don't have a number, be happy to sit down and with you, and we can kind of talk about what your questions might be about it, why I think my number is a good one. I don't know, I mean, like, there's nothing to vote on tonight.
Right.
So,
So I think that if you guys will agree, let's come to the table. You guys already know your numbers, obviously. The 3 of us are kind of up in the air. So why don't we come to the table to council? Can we come to what?
We have this other meeting on the 31st. Do you want to have a work session after that to discuss
That's the
this?
budget.
A
Yeah.
separate agenda for a separate
There's
meeting
another
after
work,
this.
there's another work session before.
This is the public hearing for the budget, the max tax levy.
Yeah.
That's on the 31st.
Yeah.
We could have a meeting
Which
after
is
this
before,
meeting.
which is before our next council meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Do you want to do that and bring your proposals to,
Let's
on
do
the
that.
31st? Will you be here, Scott, on the 31st?
I believe so,
Okay.
we're talking March 31st, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
In 2 weeks.
Well, it would have to be, because there's these, or April 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
all
will-
right.
Okay. So I think we should do that.
Let's do that.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take over. I just
Nope,
want to
nope,
get to a resolution. So let's do that. Let's do a work session after the public hearing. Let's bring all of our proposals to the table, and then we can make it so that when we come to the council session, we have our minds made up.
Fair.
Fair? Fair, Scott?
Fair.
Okay.
Okay, number 8, minor tax, maximum taxes on Monday, March 31st, 2025.
You guys look very uncomfortable when we're talking about you.
It's just awkward, like, I don't want to be here either, but
All right, so we just have this on the 31st, is that?
yes.
All right, so everybody be there the 31st so we can have work session after.
Yep.
Oh,
Anything else, guys?
anything, Scott?
I don't believe so. My elbow hurts from holding the phone in my head.
All right, we're closing